Hi everybody, this is Mr. Wu. For the past 2 weeks, we've been working with this paper 4 about selfie gadgets. We have worked on preparing and organized note cards, which you can use in your group discussions. And we have practiced participating in a group discussion in different ways. In today's lesson, we will focus on the individual response, the IR. Now, if you remember, in the DSE, the speaking exam has two parts, Part A and Part B. In Part A, you will have a 10-minute preparation. You can prepare for 10 minutes. That's when you read your paper 4 and prepare your ideas and an organized note card. And then after your preparation, your 10 minutes of preparation, you will have a group discussion. If you are in a group of 4 students, you will discuss for 8 minutes. But if you are in a group of 3 students, you will discuss for 6 minutes. So that is part A. When you finish part A, you will go on to part B. Now in part B, you will have no time for preparation. There is no preparation. You cannot prepare your notes. There will not be any note cards that you can create. What you have to do instead is to answer a question that the examiner or the teacher asks you, okay, in 1 minute. Okay, try to answer the question in 1 minute. Okay, so that is part B, and these are the two parts of the DSE exam. So we have worked on part A earlier, so in this lesson we will work on part B. Now let's suppose the examiner or the teacher asks you these questions in the individual response. How often do you take selfies? How often do you take selfies? To answer this question, what you have to do then is to have enough ideas to talk for 1 minute and to share your ideas in an organized way. To organize your answer, you should follow these 6 steps. 1. You should acknowledge the questions. Okay, that means that you tell the examiner you understood the question. 2. You should state the topic. Okay, that means that you show the examiner that you know what you have to answer. And then you give your clear answer. Okay, and then in step 4, you should explain your answer with details, with evidence, and with reasons, etc., to make your answer clear. And before 1 minute is up, you should conclude briefly. And then you should close your answer before 1 minute is up. All right, so in the first step, what you do is you acknowledge the question. And what do you say? You say, "Thank you for the question." And then you have to make clear what the topic of the question is, what the question is about. You have to show that you understand what the question is about. About how often I take selfies, ... Okay, so that tells the examiner that you are going to talk about taking selfies and how often. Okay, what is your answer? You give the answer by saying, I take selfies quite often. I take selfies quite often. How often? Sometimes a few times a day. right? So this is your clear answer. So these are the first 3 steps to your answer. Now that you have given a clear answer, the next step is to explain your answer with details and evidence and reasons and all of that. So what can you say? You can say, I take selfies often for a few reasons. First, okay, here's your first reason. I think taking selfies is a good way to remember what happened in our lives. For example, when we were having a good time with friends, getting a birthday present, or going somewhere beautiful. Okay, that's the first reason. The second reason, also, I have a mobile phone that takes nice photos. It has an editor function which allows me to add effects to the photos or beautify myself. Okay, notice how I use also here, all right, to organize my answer. Right, first I have one reason, also I have a second reason. Okay, so remember to use linking words like that to organize your answer. Okay, then before 1 minute is up, you start to conclude your answer briefly. What can you say? You can say, so I take selfies quite often because it is really fun and I can do it anywhere. Okay, so you summarize, you conclude by summarizing or repeating the main idea of your answer. And when you close, you can say, I hope I have answered your question. Thank you for your attention. Okay, try not to say thank you for your presentation. That is the end of my presentation. All right, because you're not making a presentation, you are answering a question, and you want to thank the examiner, you want to thank the teacher for paying attention to you. So all you have to do is say thank you for your attention. I have just given you an example of how to talk about the ideas in your answer. Next, what I am going to do is to give you more ways, more expressions, more vocabulary to talk about your ideas in your answer. For example, when you acknowledge the question, you can also say, your questions ask about ... or you ask me about ... When you state the topic, you can say, regarding ... as for ... When you give your answer in a clear way, you can say, in my opinion ... or I truly, or I strongly, or I really believe that ... When you try to explain your answer, when you want to make your answer clear, you can say, let me start by saying that ... In my experience ... According to a study ... Here's an example ... Now, notice that when you explain your answer, there are several ways that you can do this. You can talk about your experience. Okay? You can talk about something that has happened to you that would help to make your answer interesting and real. And you can also use statistics, data, facts, okay, research, right, to explain your answer. And finally, it's always a good idea to give some examples so that the listener, so that the examiner has a better understanding of what you are talking about. Okay, so when you conclude briefly, you can say, in a nutshell, dot dot dot. Or you can say in summary dot dot dot. And when you close, I hope you would agree with me. Or I hope my answer is clear. Or simply thank you. Right? So when you practice your individual response, giving your answers, try to use some of these expressions in your answer. To give you some practice, I have prepared a worksheet. Okay, let's say the examiner asks you this question. Do you post your selfies on websites? Do you post your selfies on websites? Right, to practice, what I would like you to do is to use the worksheet that I sent in the email to prepare a response, to prepare an answer. Write down what you're going to say first. Okay? Try to use good vocabulary, good grammar, and some of the expressions that I have uh, uh, given you earlier in this PowerPoint. And then when you finish, read your answer aloud. Practice reading your answer aloud, okay, to make sure that you have enough ideas to talk for about 1 minute. You need to make sure that your answers are not too short or too long. So that's why it helps by reading your answer aloud. All right, so that is today's lesson. We'll see you next time.